are back with another episode of Wedtalks, our first episode of 2024 while filming in 2024. And I'm so excited to have Jill and Franny of Jill Perez Events with us. So pumped about this. Jill did a beautiful wedding for us out. What was it, October? It was an October wedding.
Yeah.
Outdoor ceremony, beautiful reception. I will make sure to put some pretty pictures up so you can see. But Jill has such a really cool classic, but also like fun infused style. That's kind of how I would describe it. Yeah. What do you think?
Yes.
Is that kind of spot on?
I think so too. Yeah. Timeless with the twist, if you will.
Yes.
We like to keep it fresh, but also that can stand the test of time.
Yeah. And I feel like your pattern play is really cool. I'm not good at that. Like when I see patterns, I'm not good at mixing. I always think I'm going to overdo it, like with too many grandma patterns. And I feel like 2024, it's all about the patterns.
I agree.
So you already do that seamlessly.
Thank you.
And then Franny's working with Jill. We're so excited. So
best.
So we're kind of just going to talk about a few different things in this episode. The first thing we're going to go over is kind of patterns and trends in 2024. And I want to hear your opinion on it.
Let's do it.
All right. So we'll start with an easy one.
Okay.
Well, I think it's easy. So what do you think about giving guests a dress code for your wedding? And I mean, not just a cocktail, but like an over the top dress code.
Easy answer. Love it. Love the idea of it. I think that everyone is going to be texting behind the scenes anyway. What are you wearing? I don't know. What are you wearing? Sending and sharing pictures. And I think that what's trending is these actually sent out ahead of time vision boards, not just that we give to our clients, but for the clients to share with their guests in terms of inspiration. And I think the outcome is phenomenal because you get people who look like they are immersed in the design of your event and they feel a part of it, and it's fantastic. And I think, in terms of, some people feeling overwhelmed by that, you can take it and make it as big as you want or as small as you want. I think people can have their own take on it, but I'm a definite fan of the whole trend of the dress code.
I love it. It really makes an impact in your photos too.
I think so too. Yeah, that's true.
I'm totally same page. We had a bride who did a boots and blazers theme for a party before the wedding, and it was so fun. Guests got so into it, and it was just the energy of the evening felt different because everyone walked in, they were like, oh my gosh, you look incredible. You look incredible. It was just a fun, different energy to bring like a dress code to it.
Yeah, I think it's so fun. I love it. And as a guest, I would be thrilled. And I know you're going to have people on the flip side who maybe get kind of annoyed by it. I know my mom went to a New Year's wedding this past year, and hopefully that bride doesn't watch this. And it was like glitter and sparkles for New Year's or something.
Fun.
It's fun. It's cute. But she was like, I don't have anything glittery and sparkly. Like, I mean, she's 60-something years old, and she just isn't really into fashion.
Doing that.
Yeah. So I can understand how it could be like kind of annoying to some guests.
Yeah. Right.
But also it's the bride's day.
That's right.
Not even the groom's.
And anybody can accessorize with a glittery clutch or something. You'll have the people that go all in and the people that just have a little flair. But I think it involves people in a fun way.
And I love a color too.
Yes.
Like I think it's fun to do a color because that is so easy. And especially when people do like a neutrals or black. Like,
I agree.
Everybody has something in their closet.
And I think it's fun too to see people's different interpretations of it, right? I think like what you give one simple standard, wear all pink and you'll get a little bit of everything under the sun. And it just adds to, I think, the presence of your day. I think it's so fun. So,
we had a wedding here and the bride and groom had everybody dress in white.
Yeah.
And it's the first time I've seen it like on Instagram and stuff, but it was the first time I've seen it in person, and it was so pretty and angelic and just beautiful, and I really loved it. Especially in the all white space. Like it just looked
absolutely.
It looked really cool. So,
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we'll jump into the next one. I have a love-hate with this. Bows.
Yeah, I think like for me personally, I just believe in designing with intention. So does that bow have some sort of significance or meaning, or is it something you've loved since you were 7? I mean, don't just do stuff because it's on trend, because that's going to come and go. So if that's meaningful to you and that would be a reflective element in your design, then great. But don't just do it to do it. Don't just do things because that is what's trending on Pinterest, because that comes and goes.
Yeah, I agree. agree. And also, I just feel like it kind of had its moment, its explosion over like Christmas and New Year's.
Right.
And now I'm kind of sick of it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, not that if you're doing it, it's still going to be beautiful,
Yeah.
but I think it's so trendy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I like it as a touch where it feels natural, like a ribbon tie on a napkin or maybe an escort card, a tiny cute bow, but I'm not into it on the large scale of, your candles wrapped in bows is just not,
yeah.
I think it's too trendy.
I'm also just not a girly girl.
Same.
So I'm just a very clean and simple person.
Yeah.
So in all aspects of life.
I think for myself as someone who was married like almost 15 years ago, I do kind of channel that as I'm working with my clients and like, will this stand the test of time? Or do you think you're going to look back at this and just cringe? Like, what was I doing? And why did I do this? So you really kind of have to harness that, I think. And not that you have to take it too seriously, but I do think that you kind of have to think down the road a little bit because you only have one wedding or most people, so I think, great things to consider.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of why we designed the venue this way too, is we wanted it to be timeless and not look back and not, again, I love a good barn wedding.
Yeah.
They're beautiful, but I didn't want that. I wanted something just clean slate that's not going to have like a timestamp on it.
Exactly. Yes. You did such a beautiful job. And I think as a designer, it's so lovely to design in your space. And I think that's, probably going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but I think that's what a lot of people want is a blank canvas. We've been working a lot in the tent venue. And I think that's because, on a local level, if we're working here in St. Louis, there's so many places that already hold meaning for people. This is where my prom was or my cotillion or whatever have you. It's kind of already stored in their memory bank and they want something new. And so here at Westman Hills, you have that and you can make it your own and it kind of can come back to this, standing venue through time. So
and I think people are drawn towards the tent vibe because it's a clean slate.
Yes.
There's no carpet pattern dictating your design that you have to go against. There's not any crazy curtain color that you have to incorporate into the design.
Absolutely.
Like it just, you don't have to pipe and drape areas. So I think that's why people love tents so much.
I agree. It's a little bit, we call it like our Cinderella moment, because it really, the clock strikes midnight and, it all comes down. But for those magical hours leading up to it, it really is something that hasn't been seen and it's unique and fun and it's there for, a short time. So
Well, I love it. You guys do it well. And
Thank you.
I will share some photos. Jill actually just did a wedding at Big Cedar Lodge, and that is a venue here in Missouri. It's absolutely beautiful. But it was just epic, like so pretty, kind of like a little bit of Western touches.
Yeah, that was the boots and the blazer welcome party that Franny mentioned. So, you want to play to your surroundings.
For sure.
We're out in Branson, Missouri, but without it feeling like a hoedown all weekend, right? So there was the little elements here and there that we wove in, just because it's a part of our setting. But all in all, really tried to keep it pretty elevated.
Well, it was beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, so next, and we kind of just touched on this, but patterns and trends is negative space. So like minimalistic weddings with space. Like I always say, let the design breathe.
Yeah.
Like you can't pack too much into a simple space, or can you? What do you think?
I tend to go more simplistic sometimes in the styling of things. Like, for example, if we have a really incredible custom bar we've built, rather than filling the back space in it with books and bookends and picture frames and everything, which I feel like can be a bit distracting, we'll just keep it pretty simple, like a pattern of candles on every row or something that, because truly that isn't where we're wanting people's eyes to go. We want it to go to the bar, So I think it does depend what space that you're designing in, but I definitely believe in the negative space and really being intentional about what you're trying to highlight and letting kind of the rest take shape. So what do you think?
Oh, this is a challenge for me from a design, professional point. I love it. I think those are the most timeless photos I'm always drawn to. At heart, I'm like an eclectic maximalist. So I do love tons of pattern, tons of texture. But I think going back to the way you truly design, it's by client. It has to feel right for the client and make sense in their way too.
Yeah.
What do you guys say to the people who walk in here and they feel like it's so simple that they need to do a ton of florals?
So much. Well, I think that, one of the very first things we do in our process is we determine what is important to the client and also what is their investment. And by determining those two things, we can really drive where to be most impactful in that. Because actually what happens is if you have no budget at all on a wedding and you go and you throw everything you can at everything, it loses its luster. You have to know where to be intentional. Where are people going to be looking? Where are they going to be living that night? What's going to be the thing to keep people talking about? And, a lot of times when we are designing, for example, if they're going to have a really quick dinner, sure, we want to have a lovely table. I love a good tablescape, but you have to consider you're going to be there for 45 minutes to an hour.
Totally.
Where, for example, if you're moving out to a tent or to a different area in a space where they're going to be dancing for 3 or 4 hours, hey, that's what people are going to be surrounded by.
Yeah.
So
I think people neglect the dance area here because oftentimes we have people get married in the chandelier room, they'll cocktail outside, and then dinner back in the Charleston room.
Yeah.
And we can either keep the doors closed and do a reveal after.
Right.
And I think that leaves such potential for a really cool guest experience moment to reopen and reveal the space.
Yeah.
But most people don't do anything with it.
Yeah.
I mean, rarely. I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm not talking a dance floor. I mean, some really cool drink stations or, something other than just your average photo booth.
Right.
So,
and I love what you said about reveals don't just have to happen at the beginning of an event. I think what you want to do is you want to create this momentum throughout the event. So, people might not be expecting that later on, and to open up the doors or to have a surprise element that keeps them on their toes, I think is huge just for that guest experience, because what does everyone do when they walk into a room? They take it all in, they digest it, and then they think that's it. But wait, there might be more surprises around the corner, which we always love to surprise and delight.
I feel like the guest experience is the most important part of that, though. I don't think you should do anything to the detriment of your guest experience. Your guests generally aren't going to remember your menu color, your florals, if they have a bad personal experience. They won't remember the decor you do. So if there's a decision between one or two things, great booze or better food versus more florals, always go with what will actually make your guests happy, because that's what they will walk away remembering from your day.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I mean, I tell our people all the time, venue, food, beverage.
Yeah.
I mean, those are kind of top items for me.
Absolutely.
So
hospitality hits home for everyone. There's no one that doesn't want to feel welcomed and like, you thought of me being here. And that's what we really do try to achieve on our events.
even if it's just a simple cocktail when they get off the shuttle.
Yes.
Or when they walk in the building. And, you know,
Yes.
maybe something different than a normal champagne. But
Yeah.
like maybe your favorite cocktail at that time. People get such a kick out of those little things.
Yes.
I agree.
So-
yeah. I mean, even little things too, like, and this is something I'll give credit to Franny for, that she's really good about. You know, of course, when we're planning with clients for a year, we know who is important to them and we try to really make sure that they are well taken care of. But even keeping an eye out for who's mom's best friend for their childhood friend, and learning their name and seeking them out. And did you want another Chardonnay? Because I know that's what you drink. You know, those, finding who those key people are. And that's not to say that not everyone's important. You want to approach that, but definitely, like, you know, thinking through who are some people that I can really, you know, hone in here. Is it grandma who can't always get up to go to the bar every time? I think from like a planning standpoint, that's really important to our team and something that we talk through, you know, before any event with our team and those that are working with us.
Totally. And I think that that's something that on the venue side of life, we love when we have planners here because we always know the parent tables, but it's so nice to be working with a whole nother team that's taking care of like another layer of people as well.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
all right. So here's a good one and a really big one right now.
Okay.
What do you think of the private last dance trend? Because this is newer in the last year or so.
This is newer. And Lauren, actually, the first time I ever did that was here, the wedding I did here. I wish I could say it was my idea, and it wasn't. It was my clients. They had such a sweet, loving relationship, and I think they were overjoyed to be surrounded with everyone for their wedding day, of course. But I think one thing that they really wanted, and they didn't know that the last dance was it. That's kind of where we arrived at the end, but they wanted a minute where they could just be together. And so you'll see a lot of couples sneaking away during cocktail hour or something like that. But to be able to say goodbye to everyone and that be your last memory of the night, to have that minute, that's why we're here. That's why the planning team is here. We're going to make sure your guests are sent off well. It's not like, okay, the doors are locked and you're shut outside waiting for the shuttle or anything.
Yeah.
It has to be planned in advance, and I think it's wonderful. It's your lasting memory of your wedding day.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's super cool. But
Ooh.
I think people need to take their venue into consideration.
Yeah.
Because now that I've seen it happening, it is you're moving guests.
Yeah.
So with us, again, most of the time the dancing's under the chandelier. We can close those doors that separate the room, and we can move the guests in this room to where we're not like kicking people out to get them away from the dance floor. But I think if you have to do that, that's kind of...
I agree. I think it has
shuffling
to be
them
well
out,
timed and thought out.
Yeah. It's not like, if you're going to do it, tell us as the venue, tell your planner, because it's not a last minute decision. There's more to it than, the DJ is going to play us a private last song.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think when we did it too, actually all the guests were gone before they did it. It was very not much part of the night where the bride and groom are in one area and the guests are all in another. Like, they did their due diligence and like waiting until everyone was gone and sending them off with a sweet goodbye. And then it was truly like, maybe flowers were coming off the table at that time and they just wanted that minute to themselves with them and the band.
It's very sweet.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, one more for the patterns and trends. And this isn't something that's new.
Yeah.
But champagne towers. How do you guys feel about a champagne tower moment? Because it's all over the internet.
I will go back to my statement I made before. Do things with intention. If that's something really sweet and special to you because your mom and dad did it and your grandma did it and it's a tradition in your family, or there's some sort of meaning behind it, don't just do things to do them. Do them because they have relevance to you. And I hate to say it might be controversial, but I would say with the champagne tower, most of the time there isn't a ton of relevance there. It's recreating something that's already been done 1,000 times, and the actual logistics behind it are a little bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, we hate it as a venue. I'm not going to lie. I hate it. It's like the glasses break, the champagne gets all over, it's sticky. And it's like, what are the brides and grooms doing this for? An Instagram photo? I mean, truly, that's true. Instagram and social media has taken over a huge portion of weddings. And I think people need to remember that it's their special day and they need to enjoy the time with their family and their significant other and not worry about photo ops.
I agree. Yeah.
To each their own.
I agree. I think too, like, let your day, the day goes by so quickly. Let your day flow out naturally. I mean, of course I say that, and behind the scenes we have a very scripted timeline to keep everything how it should be. But, you want it to flow naturally to where you're present and you're enjoying it. And if you're worried, like you said, Lauren, about these moments that, I have to get this shot, most of the time it's just forced and it doesn't end up working. So
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Like Jill said, if it's really meaningful to a client, I think we'll almost never tell them no. We will find a way to make it happen, but come back to that. What is your guest experience during that point? They're either sitting at their dinner table, watching you do this, being like, great, we're not engaging with you guys as a couple. You're the reason we're here, and we're just watching you pour champagne. We're not going to get a glass. We're not spending time with you, versus you could use that really up to 20 minutes, intentionally to greet your guests, be with them, be present with the people who showed up to love and support you. So how do you really want to use that time during your day?
Yeah. We had a groom that absolutely loved old fashions and all the different sorts of bourbons, whiskeys. Like, he was just really into all that. So he had an organic moment where he went back behind the bar with the bartenders and he started making the old fashions for some of the guests during cocktail hour. And I just think something like that is
great.
Just,
absolutely.
I mean, people were getting a kick out of that.
Yes.
And that's its own photo moment, organic moment.
Because it was meaningful to him, and that was probably a way of showing his love to the guests.
Yes.
Like, I love drinking these. I want you to enjoy it too. And Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to move on to wedding myth busting.
Ooh.
Okay. Well, some of these could be a little controversial. I might have to hold back. Okay. Is there truly such a thing as a day of coordinator?
No. No, there is not. I mean, do people plan the day? Yes. Could you sufficiently plan a person's most monumental day that day? No, there has to be work ahead of time. The communication, especially if your actual planner isn't the one involved in all of those steps, there has to be a significant amount of time spent to transfer information over from one person to the next and to coordinate it and to make sure that it is done properly, I think, to have an effective day.
So what about these companies that will come on and do partial planning and they are involved, let's call it 4 weeks ahead of time, and that's the first time they're meeting the client and getting to know the vendors, the timeline, all of that? What do you think?
Yeah. While it's not our own, that's not the way we offer full service planning. And, I've been doing this job for, 14 years. And so I've done a little bit of every model under the sun. And really where I landed was, in order for it to be cohesive, I personally want to be involved beginning to end. I want to be that support. However, I do think that there are people out there who are very capable of doing a lot on their own. And if you're that type of person, but you want to hand it off to somebody else, I think with sufficient time to do so, that can be done. It's just not the way that we model our business.
Totally.
Yeah.
We just see everything on this side of life, on the venue side.
Yeah, I bet.
And especially after being a photographer for so many years, I've worked with planners on that side.
Yeah.
And it's just totally different.
Yeah.
It's totally different. And I think what I've learned is there are very few, and I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash for saying this, but I think there are very few good, just partial planners. And, I don't say that to be mean or unkind. Yeah. I just say that because we see Robbie and I are very involved on the planning side of life with the venue. And when we have their final meeting and then we're meeting somebody for the first time and we have already determined like the timeline of the day with the client at their 6-month meeting. Yeah. And then they're coming and like we're having to re-explain everything and then they're trying to change things, but they don't understand. Like, for example, we have a catering prep kitchen. Our caterers cook offsite or in a tent in the parking lot. Right. So they don't understand that toast should be after dinner because we need to get the food service out without being delayed. And I think that there's just a lot of mix-up and miscommunications. And I'm going to say this right now. I cannot stand when partial day of planners pack up and leave at 8 o'clock. And we see it almost every weekend. And I don't know if the clients understand, but that means that we're watching parents load up stuff, personal items in the car at the end of the night. And it's just like so upsetting to see that when the couple thinks that they're paying
they have
for
it.
that.
Yeah. Expectations have to be aligned 100%. And I do agree with you. I think that, you have to know what you're signing up for, and so if that's truly all you need is someone to get you through those heavy hitting moments, then so be it, to each their own. But I think if you're looking for a cohesive, well thought out, orchestrated event, you need someone to get you from the beginning to the end and then some. I mean, we have clients that we're still tying up loose ends from back in the fall, double checking their room block list to make sure that everybody was charged correctly and things like that. There's so much that isn't talked about that even happens after the wedding. And if you went through all that trouble to hire someone, don't you want it to be something that's not the last taste of your wedding is having to deal with these things? So I think you make a really good point, Lauren.
And I do think that there is a market for a bridal assistant. And I'm going to call it that because I think if you hire someone day of and their main focus is taking care of you as a bride, running little errands for you, coordinating with the venue, and then maybe they do leave at 8 o'clock. Yeah. And you have your friends, tear down your decor. I don't recommend it. I hate it. I hate seeing people do that. Yeah. But, I think that is a great business model. And there's actually a company, I think they're in California. They're called like the Wedding Coordinators. Yeah. And they say all they do is coordination, not like planning. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's just getting clients to understand the differences because there are so many facets of wedding planners.
Absolutely. Well, and one thing I want to give you kudos on as a venue owner is that you recognize the difference between a venue coordinator and a planner, and you embrace it and you encourage it, because how many times do people think they're covered by the venue coordinator of wherever they are? Oh, there's a coordinator at that venue, so we're good. Well, guess what? They're not going to be handling your transportation. They don't have that 360 knowledge of everything that's going on the day of your wedding. They're focused on the venue. And that's what Franny and I always harness is do what you do and do it well. And how can we best support our clients? So even for our team, who is a full service planning and design, we bring someone in for our brides that is a bridal party handler, just because guess what? We're pulled in a million different directions. So they work as part of our team, and they make sure that the dress is steamed, that the attire is taken care of, that bride feels like that if she needs anything that day, that there's someone right there next to her.
Yep.
And we kind of harness that same, that same energy with every part of the wedding day. It does take everybody doing their niche things and doing it very well, I think, to create a successful wedding day.
Totally. And I think being transparent about it up front.
Yeah.
We send them a PDF after they book, and there is what we do and what a planner does. There's a difference.
That's amazing.
And, we chatted about this off camera, but I think clients just don't understand because most of them have not done this before.
Yeah,
it's their first
fair.
rodeo.
Right.
So I think connecting people and then making them understand like why they do need a planner.
Right.
And again, I might get scrutinized for this, but I don't think everybody needs a planner. I don't.
Some people can.
Yeah, I think we have 50% of our clients that don't need a planner.
Yeah.
And those people are having lovely, pretty simple weddings. There's just a florist that's setting some pretty arrangements on a table.
Right.
There's not a lot of movement.
Absolutely.
And I think that they can handle it on their own.
I agree with you. I think expectations are everything.
Yes.
The alignment of expectations. And if you understand what you want and how to get it, then great. If you have mismatched expectations of, I want to have the sun, the moon, the stars, but I haven't, aligned someone to help me with that, but I'm going to expect you as the venue coordinator to do that, or a planner who doesn't,
Or your best friend.
your best friend, or whoever.
we hear it all the time.
Do you?
Oh, my
Yeah.
best friend's going to do this and that. And I finally look at them and I'm like, you guys, you want Courtney or whoever to be tearing down candles? I mean, if you have 50 candles on a table,
Yeah.
do you know how much time that's going to take
They
to
don't
break that
know.
down? They don't know.
Yeah.
So I think education is key.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving on to the next one. Your guests don't really care about speeches. True or false? Toasts. I hate when people call them speeches anyway.
I love speeches. I will say, as a guest, as a wedding planner, I love it conditionally. People have to be able to hear. I think people don't take into account sound in a space enough. And
Preach.
if, half your tables, half your guests can't hear what anyone's saying, why be doing it? But I think they're wonderful if they're kept short and sweet and nice. I don't need a 10-minute speech, but something I do love.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the 3 B's. Be brief, be brilliant, be gone. So yes, have it, say something, chances are if you're speaking at a wedding, it's because you know that person the best. And I think that is fun for people to hear. But do you need to go through a timeline of your entire friendship or lifelong journey with that person? No, that's kind of put that in the letter and send it to, it to them as more of a gift between those two people. Nobody else cares about those.
Yeah.
We
had a father of the bride one time, and he gave a 40-minute first plated dinner, and it delayed dinner service 40 minutes. Luckily, as the venue, we worked behind the scenes, like communicating with the caterer, like letting them know that this was not going to be over for a minute. And we've seen it all. So I think just be clear with people, maybe keep it to like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think so too.
A nice, short, sweet toast.
Yeah.
And call it a day. Everybody's happy.
And a lot of our clients, I would say more than not right now, are opting to do it at the rehearsal dinner. That's your nearest and dearest. And I think when you have everyone together in a setting where you can really be heard in a little bit more of an intimate way. And then just on the wedding day, it's just dad as more or whoever's the host of that event saying something very brief. Again, be brief, be brilliant, be gone. It just, hello, thank you for being here. And, we want to welcome you. almost more from a hospitality setting than a storytelling perspective.
I do love when the bride and groom say a little something.
Fun.
Yeah.
I agree.
I do.
Yeah.
I think because often you try really hard to talk to everybody at your wedding, but you miss people
That's hard.
inevitably.
And you want them to be present too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love when, the guy says a sweet little something about the girl. I
I
just think it's
do.
very sweet.
It doesn't always happen. And when it does, it's very sweet.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And those are always the ones that just melt my heart.
I know.
So.
I know.
All right. We're going to do one more. You got it in ya?
Let's do it.
All right. True or false? Let me redo that. True or false? You should book a planner before you book anything else.
True.
True. Conditionally.
Do you want us to explain?
I'm going to say false.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah.
I'm going to say true for you.
Yeah. I was going
true
to
for
say,
us.
it depends who you're asking, right?
Yes.
We're, of course, planners.
Yeah, I'm going to say this so that you don't have to. I think there are different levels of planners. I think there are full service like Jill and Franny. And I think that these are full service planners, designers. They are concocting an event from scratch. And I think they need to have say on where you do it, where you're allocating your budget, and all of those fun things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then I think that there's, like we talked about earlier, your partial planners.
Absolutely. Yep.
And then there's people that maybe just need a little extra help.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you tell me.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. From where we're coming from, we're intimately involved in the planning process from the beginning. And one mistake that we see people make is now, of course, a lot of times people know already where they're going to get married because, hey, this has been a part of our family. And so that definitely happens. But if you're doing a destination event or even something here and you just do, I think a huge mistake is people get engaged and they panic and they think they have to do something very quickly. But what we love is when our clients come to us and it's a thoughtful consideration of, okay, let's think about your overall investment, how that aligns with where you're going to be and what you want to achieve. And a lot of times if we're not a part of that, we're kind of doing some back work on trying to get it back to maybe where it should be. And so we just really appreciate being a part of that to set the planning and the design off on the right note.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's for our clients, we like to be involved in everything. And it is, occasionally clients will book something beforehand or have a set decision and then come to us. And like Jill said, we end up doing a lot of back work where it's, hey, we have to make a different decision in this other category because you've already gone over budget, maybe what we would have suggested, or you can't have this because of your location. So it's, let's consider everything that's important to you and then start making decisions so that it's a cohesive day, whereas some people just pick one and then the other, and to put it together, it doesn't always work when you have to.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of details on the contracting side of things that we like to advocate for our clients on, even try to negotiate here and there. Like if you're doing a full buyout somewhere for the weekend, like there is some negotiating power there and those things. So
I think again, that's like another level
where you are.
of wedding.
Yes.
And buyouts, what that means is people take the venue for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, often even Thursdays, Tuesdays for setup, tear down, because there's so much design going on there. So my answer to people is, well, what are you looking for in a planner? When people ask, what are you looking for in a planner? What elements are they going to be taking care of for you? And I can tell from an initial consultation or phone call with somebody what they need.
Right.
But I do tell people if they've been watching our venue specifically be built since day one and like this is their dream venue, I say book it. It all comes down to priorities.
It does. Yes. And if you're choosing something with that much certainty, it's right for you. Totally. You know what I mean? Like why go on this wild goose chase when you know in your heart that that's where you want to be? So I think Franny's right. It is very conditional with each. And that is the hard thing about all of these questions and answers is that never are a client that we have never are two alike. So,
and I think that that's where we'll wrap it up.
Wonderful.
I mean, truly every wedding is unique. Every couple is unique. Every situation is unique. And I think there isn't a one size fits all answer for all these things and you just have to do what's right for you.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Thank you, girls.
Yeah, thanks
we can't wait to have you
Lauren.
back designing
Wonderful.
another wedding
Let's
here
do
soon.
it.
Let's
So fun
do
to
it.
chat.
Yeah,
Enjoyed
and make
it.
sure you check out Jill Perez on Instagram and on the internet, the World Wide Web. I'll make sure to post her links. Great chatting.
Thank you.
We love you.
Lauren. We love you. Appreciate it.